All right, let's go ahead and get this going. All right, so looking at example 2b, I'm going to skip 2a because it's not near as hard. Let's do example 2b. All right, we've got to get this thing in a form that matches the top. So we got to do completing the square. Woo! This is going to be kind of tough. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put my 2y squared minus 6y, and I'm going to take that 4x and get it the heck out of Dodge. I'm going to take it to the other side. So I'm going to put a negative 4x plus 9 on the other side of the equation because I want my squared terms on one side, my y's, and I want the x's on the other. So let's go ahead and I'm going to pull out a 2 here to get ready to complete the square. So I'm going to have 2 outside of y squared minus 3y, leave a space to complete the square, and then that equals negative 4x plus 9. All right, so the rule for completing the square, I'm sure you guys have been studying this all week, but the rule for completing the square is b over 2 the whole thing squared, half the middle term squared. So my middle term is 3, half of 3 is 1.5, square that, you get 2.25. So that is what I'm going to add right here is 2.25. What that does is it gives me a quantity that I can write this, when I factor it, it'll end up being a quantity squared in the end. That's why this rule exists, right? And we've covered that before this year. I'm sure you guys will be fine with it, all right? So here's the tricky part of this, though. Whatever I do to one side of the equation, I've got to do to the other side. You do not just put plus 2.25 right here because that is not balanced. Because on this side of the equation, I have 2 times 2.25. So just putting that right there, that would be incorrect. All right, so let's go ahead and fix that. And I'm going to go ahead and do 2 times 2.25, and I'm going to add 4.5 to that side of the equation, because that's truly what I did to this left side of the equation. I did 2 times 2.25. I added 4.5 to this side. So I have to add 4.5 to that side. Now let's go ahead and just factor it, get it in the form we want. So I've got 2 outside of, I'm going to factor this. It'd be y and y to get y squared. Now I got to find factors of 2.25 that add up to 3. Well, how the heck am I going to find that? It's actually easy. It's always half of the middle term, because 1.5 times 1.5 is 2.25. That's how we got the 2.25, doing this b over 2 squared. So 1.5 times 1.5 gives me 2.25, and it adds up to 3. But now I need it to add up to negative 3, so both of them are going to be negative. There, we're good. That side's taken care of. I got to clean it up, but it's pretty close. This side over here, I'm going to go ahead and just combine those first. So I'm going to have negative 4x, and I'm going to have plus 13.5. And then I'm going to clean this up, get it in the form I want. So I'm going to have y minus 1.5 squared. Sorry, little 2 dots there, sorry. All right. And I'm going to divide it into the other side in a second. I'll leave it there for now. And that equals, I'm going to pull out the negative 4, because if you look up top, I want the coefficient out in front of a quantity with x minus or plus something. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this like this. I'm just going to put minus 13.5 over 4. I would, if I had a calculator on me right at this second, I would divide these and I would go ahead and make them a decimal, but I don't have one on me at the moment. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2 because I don't want the 2 on the squared side. So I'm going to divide this whole side by 2, as I did this side here. Cancels over here, and I would get negative 2 outside of x minus whatever the heck 13.5 divided by 4 is. Now that I'm in this form, I can graph it no problem. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I could graph this no problem. I know y is squared, and it's got, which means, oh, and it's negative, which means it's got to be opening left. And my vertex would be whatever 13.5 divided by 4 is, would be my x value. Change the sign when you pull it out, so it'd be positive. And then my y value is going to be 1.5 for the vertex. And then I would do 4p equals -2, and I would solve for p. And that would also, by the way, the fact that p comes out negative tells me it opens left. So that would confirm that for me. All right, so there's that one. Let's get down to this last one. This last one is extremely useful. You got a satellite dish. It's shaped like a paraboloid of revolution. All that means is it's shaped like a parabola. Okay, don't make that hard. And the signal that's emanating from the satellite will strike the surface of the dish, and it's reflected to a single point. So here's what happens in a satellite dish. Somewhere inside of the satellite dish, you have a receiver. Signals come in, they bounce off of the satellite dish, and then they go to the receiver. So everything gets channeled right up to that receiver. That's how satellite dishes work. Okay, so what our goal is, it says you're supposed to find where the receiver should be placed. All right, so I'm trying to find that right there. That point is the focus. That's what I'm looking for, is the focus. Because the focus, and this is new to you, the focus of a parabola is where everything will get reflected to when parallel lines come into a parabola. So it will get, all parallel lines that come into a parabola will get channeled to the focus. So you needed to know the physics of that. There you go. Now you know it. So let's find the focus based on this info. All right, so I've got my satellite dish is 20 feet all the way across. So up here, not necessarily hitting the focus, is 20 feet all the way across. And I also know it is 6 feet deep at the opening. I'm going to put that out here. Is 6 feet deep. Okay, so that's the two things they gave me. I'm supposed to go ahead and find that focus, where it's at. All right, so what I'm going to do that is I'm going to go ahead and set up a coordinate system. I'm going to make things real easy on myself, and I'm going to go ahead and put the x and y axis right there so that my vertex is 0, 0. I can put the xy axis wherever I want in real life. That's where I'm going to put it to make my life easy. So here's my equation so far for this. I would have x minus 0 squared equals 4p outside of y minus 0. I'm just plugging 0, 0 in for my h and k. So simplifying this, I've got x squared equals 4p times y. Now I need to find p because p is my answer. P is the distance from the vertex to focus. That'll give me my answer right there. How am I going to find p though? I got 3 unknowns. Well, you can use the information they gave you, the 20 and the 6, and you can make a point on this parabola. This point right here, I can tell its coordinates. Its coordinates would be 10 over and 6 up. So now I have an xy coordinate that it runs into. I can put 10 in for x. I can put 6 in for y, and I can solve for p, no problem. So I have 100 equals 24p. I just went ahead and multiplied the 4 and 6 together and got 24. So my answer for p is whatever 100 divided by 24 is. Just a little bit above 4-ish. Okay, so that would be my answer for p. 4 point whatever that comes out to. All right, so there you go. Enjoy. You guys have the worksheet to do tonight. So and it's not due until Friday. Get a good start on it. you got all day Friday.